Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything academia and mum life in education. So today I want to talk about how to effectively read articles for research. Make sure you watch to the end because I always give an AI element that I like to use at the end. Research. So when you're writing your assignments, you have to find evidence to back up what you're saying. How do you find those articles and make sure that they're the right ones for you? Let's talk about it. Academic articles can sometimes feel dense and intimidating, but with the right approach, you can read them effectively and still understand the key points, even if you skim through them quite quickly and get the main points and ideas. Let's talk about how to break them down effectively. So we're going to talk about where to start, where to skim, what headings and subheadings to look for, and how to summarize each section to make it effective for you to then go back and use it in your assignments. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to read the abstract. While I was studying, I was always told to look in three places: the abstract, the introduction, and the conclusion. So the first place you're going to look is the abstract, because the abstract gives a quick overview of what the entire paper is going to be covering. It summarizes its purpose, its methods, and findings. And when you read that first, you can decide whether this article is going to be relevant for you or whether you can just move on to the next one. Once you've read the abstract, you're then going to, and decided whether this is something you want to read a bit further, you're then going to skim the introduction and conclusion. Now, skimming for keywords, you're going to focus on the background section of the introduction, and then you're going to look into the conclusion and takeaways that they've summarized at the end of the paper. These two sections are going to introduce the topic and the reason for the discussion and the research in the first place. And then the conclusion is going to say, this is what we aimed to achieve and this is what happened. And then they may talk about some of the limitations briefly in the conclusion section. These two areas will then give you a bit more fuel to see if this is something that you need to read a bit more in depth. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the headings and the subheadings. Now, these will guide you on specific sections. Some papers are broken down just in the introduction, the background, a bit of the context, findings and things like that. But some articles and some research papers do delve a little deeper, and they're divided up into clear headings and subheadings that demonstrate and indicate exactly what these sections are going to be talking about. So if you're specifically looking for the benefits of personalization of AI in education, then when you're looking through that article that you've said, yep, this is something that I want to look into, you're going to specifically look for the sections that may indicate a discussion about AI personalization. These headings and sections will also guide you into things like the methodologies or the results that were used in this research. So you don't need to read in depth other areas just to get the key bits of information that you're looking for. While you are reading, you are going to be highlighting specific areas and arguments. So underline definitions, hypotheses, and critical arguments, because these areas you will see, I've made a note here because this is something that I need to look at further and I want to include in my discussion, and this will help you retain some of the information as well and keep it in. If you are reading articles online, most PDFs you can highlight in the web, but you have to make sure that you save that highlighted version. Otherwise, when you go back to it, it's not going to have all your highlighting and underlining on it if that's how you want to pick out key terms. And the fifth thing you're going to do is you're going to summarize each section that you have read in your own words. Not only is this going to help with things like paraphrasing when it comes to actually using this evidence in your assignment, but writing brief notes on each section and what it covers will make your review of that information easier. When you are going back to include bits of information into your assignment, you're going to know exactly why you highlighted this section. You're going to know exactly why this quote is going to be used. One system I love to use is MyBib, the online Harvard generator, because you can make notes. So color code each one that you're using, and you can make notes down the side of each bit of literature. And sometimes I like to highlight chunks of text, paste them in, and then underneath write down why I've specifically chosen that bit of information and how it's going to feed in to the piece of work that I may be writing. And this is something that I suggest with people that I coach and people that I work with, and I've always suggested this with my students also, to keep them on track as to what these specific areas are talking about and why you are going to be using it. So as an example, I skimmed the abstract and found that this article focuses on online learning and its impact on engagement. Then I would highlight the background and the conclusion, skipping unrelated sections and things that I don't really think are relevant to the piece of the assignment that I'm writing. This may include things like methodology. I may not necessarily need to look at the methodology section for this paper because I'm specifically looking at the area that is discussing the impact on learners' engagement. So what is my AI element for today? I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really like Unriddle for tasks like this. Unriddle allows you to upload PDFs and upload articles and documents, and you can ask it to summarize this text for me. Now, you can go as simple as asking it to summarize it for you like you was a 5-year-old, and it will explain it to you like you was a 5-year-old, so a 5-year-old will be able to understand it. You can also ask it targeted questions and ask it for a bit more of a detailed summary in terms of the reasons why you may want to be using this article. When it provides a summary, it will also give little citation numbers to point you back to the area that it is summarizing. So if you did find in this literature it was talking specifically about using gamification to enhance student engagement, it will show you a number 5, and then you will click on the number 5 and it will take you back to the larger piece of text that is discussing this. I always encourage my students and people that I coach to go back to those sections and read it in a bit more detail to get the context of the discussion, because sometimes with these summaries it's a perception, it's how it's interpreting the information, and you may need to go back to read that bit of text, that chunk of text, just to see, is it relevant, is it applicable, and is it valid for the reasons that you want to use it in your assignments. So while it does provide decent summaries, you should still go back to the text to look at the context and then see if that is something that you would definitely be using in your assignments. What's great is that you can save these summaries, it will save them for you, and you can even take those bits of text and go into your reference management software like MyBib or Mendeley, and you can paste those bits of summary in the notes section of the citation that you are going to be using. I'll put a picture here just so that makes sense. But you can bring all of those things together to make your research, your literature searches a bit more simple, a bit more effective, and a bit more succinct. So with these 5 strategies, starting with the abstract, skimming the introduction and the conclusions, looking for headings and subheadings, highlighting key terms and arguments, and summarizing each section in your own words, you'll be able to tackle academic articles quickly and effectively. Remember, it's about working smarter, not harder. Also remember, you are doing an amazing job. The academic world sometimes can feel very stressful and overwhelming, but with these strategies we can make our academic journeys that little bit easier. As usual, if you like this content and you want to see more of it, don't forget to press that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when I post another video, and share with your community. Let others know about this academic information and help them with their academic success as well. And I will see you in the next video.